Hi everyone, my name is Carlton Herbert, and this is the research that I put together for Module 1.5. The building or complex that I was designed to look at was Park Brea in Los Angeles. It's about 30 minutes by car from our project site, kind of near Mid-Wilshire, West Hollywood, and kind of Beverly Hills area. It's actually really close to the famous Miracle Mile, which is a whole bunch of shops, museums. This is a very big tourist destination in LA. As far as the regional history goes, it's originally settled by the Native Americans who actually used some tar pits in the area for waterproofing roofs and boats, that kind of thing. After it was colonized, it was turned into a ranch for a little while, and then eventually someone named Henry Hancock began using those tar pits to develop asphalt. And obviously, they needed a lot of that for the roads out there, so commercialized that and also installed lots of oil wells on the site. After oil production kind of began to fade, they actually donated the tar pits to Los Angeles County. They have like a museum and stuff there now. And then also donated where this Park La Brea site is to USC. And then in 1940, the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company purchased the land and decided to put a large complex of houses and apartments and stuff on it. And this, I guess, was actually something kind of common in the time. The large life insurance companies in the area would try and, I guess, diversify their investments by building these large complexes to provide housing. They saw it as a permanent investment. They saw it as being able to give decent housing to white-collar workers, and then also make it more affordable with some of these larger complexes. The site and design was put together by the architect Leonard Schultz, as well as Earl T. Heichman and Tommy Thompson, who did the landscaper. It was broken up in a couple phases. As you can see here, they have the large towers kind of in the distance, and then they have some smaller buildings. Those would be the garden buildings, and then those towers would be the second phase of the project. This is the site plan kind of layout that they put together. This is the second of it. They used some interesting shapes instead of just kind of the standard grid pattern or layout of neighboring roads and streets. They used what is this kind of multiple octagons combined into a diamond kind of intersection there. This was it makes a very interesting shape, but it also makes for kind of a maze effect. And I read several things where people commented about it getting lost anytime they would come to visit this area. Just another view of that. The way they lay out that site, it actually creates lots of these private courtyards in those garden areas. So essentially, each of those groups of units has kind of their private but shared kind of backyard space just for that unit. And then it's based on kind of a French Baroque pattern. And I guess there was a movement going on in the city of Los Angeles, this kind of garden city movement, where there was a big push to bring a lot more of this green space into the urban development. Like I was saying, the second phase of the project was these large 13-story towers, and originally the plan was going to be just that this entire site was going to be filled with those garden housing buildings. But after World War II, there was a huge demand for all of the people returning from war to get housing, and so they had to put in a whole bunch more units, and they kind of just revised the plan and came up with these large X-structured buildings for that. Eventually, Metropolitan Life was going to be sold the property, and it's been passed around a couple of times. But the main recent development was in the 1980s. They put a bunch of fences in and turned it into a gated community. So it used to be just open access to all the neighboring roads, but now since then they've turned it into a private community. There's a couple of Google Earth images of the site in 3D, so you can kind of get a view of that. And then this is actually what those buildings look like today. They've got over 10,000 residents, about 4,200 units, and it's on 176 acres. They have a whole bunch of amenities built in, like a large pool, workout space, cafe, all that kind of stuff. I put together a 3D isometric here for the garden units, just to get kind of the general massing shape of those units. And it's generally it's a two-story building, kind of a perimeter block, point access block kind of layout, with the kind of that central courtyard shared between them. And then there are also some that are triangular, but they follow the same pattern there. For the tower, it's that X-shaped structure. And yeah, it's the tower layout. They got a central core that goes up and all those floors, and they got pretty much just those four main corridors that kind of go between that service core and then the wings, I guess you could say, of the tower. Here's the floor plan. As you can see, the garden buildings offer lots of variety. You get 1-bed, 2-bed, and 3-bed options. Obviously, increasing in price as you go up in space. And the tower, they've got a studio, a 1-bed, and then a 2-bed option. And you can see there they managed to fit a lot of stuff into a pretty small space for some of these areas. As far as the economics of it go, back in the 1950s, the rent was 52 to about 90 bucks a month. So that's pretty great for some of these places. Current rent is obviously much higher than that. You're looking for anywhere around 2,000 just to start for a 1-bath studio apartment up in the tower, all the way up to 4,000 for something out in the garden areas where you got a little bit more space and like 3 beds, 2.5 bath kind of setup. The area is also really close to a bunch of amenities. There's quality grocery stores, quality retail, all within walking distance or public transit, which is also a pretty built in, at least on the perimeter of the site. As you see in the other side map here, there is a whole bunch of that open space built in, and actually only about 18% of the total site area is buildings. The rest of it is open, whether that be streets or these green space kind of park areas. The social demographics of the site were kind of interesting. There were a lot of the same kind of issues that we were looking at just in general for LA, where there was things like redlining going on and some segregation going on in the 50s and 60s when these were built. But nowadays it's a lot more balanced, and as you can see on the right, there are a couple statistics there. It's even with age there's median age there right around 34, and then median household income also pretty high there, about 68,000. And then also the residents are generally pretty highly educated, with almost all of them being high school graduates and a fair amount of them being holding bachelor's degrees. Some takeaways there. It was designed as kind of a garden city with a lot of those green spaces. It did experience a lot of the same kind of redlining the rest of the city did. When we look at our project, we do the same kind of thing where we reevaluate our master plan if we come up with new issues, such as needing a bunch of housing after World War II that they did for Park the Brea. And then we should look at trying to improve the amenities in the site, like they have at Park the Brea. And also the residents, Park the Brea feels a strong sense of community. From what I read, it seemed almost like it was kind of like you're on a different planet if you're part of this community. There wasn't a whole lot of intermixedness between the neighboring communities and this community, from what it seemed like. But at the same time, the people within the community did seem to have a stronger sense of that community. And then some recommendations. Obviously, our site area is lacking in the amenities side. Just trying to address that. Also, we should try and incorporate a coherent overall site plan, kind of like this, where they did design the streets and the layout and circulation as far as that went. We should try and offer a variety of unit types to appeal to a wider variety of people. And then we should probably look at high-rise requirements and zoning requirements, see if we can add some verticality to our site, kind of like what they did here. And then also just circulation, how people and vehicles are going to move throughout the layout. And then this is the 3D isometric there, which is kind of in summary there with kind of the main points from Park the Brea that I found. So take a look. Here's sort of if you want to look at any of those. And yeah, thanks for taking a look at my project.